Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike the intern, Ned Reynolds. It's Wednesday. I don't know about you, but the week I've had so far, it feels like it should be a Friday. How busy Monday and Tuesday were. But here we are. All right, Chiefs probably in the same boat. They're back to work at St. Joseph, Missouri's University, and looking so far so good. I like the way that offensive line is starting to shape up.
Well, of course, it's day one yesterday, and you're not going to really see anything remarkable there. The NFL decrees that you can't wear pads and obviously no contact, but they did go through the drills in the shorts and so forth, and did allow quite a few people in to watch the circumstances. But going through the drills is interesting because you do see the rhythm, and you see some of the guys. Josh Simmons was out there, and he was fine, at least for now, before contact. So while the players did line up in their starting positions, work will continue probably for another couple of days, and then they'll put the pads on, and it's really warm up there. But be that as it may, that's the decree from the National Football League that they can't put on the pads and do any contact until a certain date. So it is what it is, and you'll see Andy Reid going through all the schemes that they have in the playbooks and making sure that the highly coveted rookies and free agents are able to master all that. So it is a big learning experience.
Speaking of practices, it looked like Dion was a little upset yesterday. They're practicing in biker shorts. What a jerk. All right, speaking of opposites of jerks, he was one of my favorite players while he was a Kansas City Chief, helped us win our first Super Bowl in over 50 years, and then went down south back to his hometown in Orleans. He is hanging it up.
You're talking about Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, and he just suddenly decided, hey, that's it. I don't want to play this anymore. He was in the camp of the New Orleans Saints, and he waited for the first day of drills. The Saints go through and say, nope, guys, now I don't really feel like doing it anymore. And that's the right decision. If you don't really have that inner motivation, then you've got to hang it up. He was a terrific All-American at LSU and a really, really hard hitter. That's why he got the name Honey Badger. Honey Badger is a rather vicious little animal. And Tyrann Mathieu was able to parlay that. Did play a terrific career with the Arizona Cardinals, did come with the Kansas City Chiefs for a short time, and as you mentioned, Mike, did help them win that Super Bowl. Then finished up with the Saints, that's his area, LSU, and has decided to call it quit. Big star, probably a Hall of Famer down the line somewhere.
I would hope to see that. Again, I remember when we signed him, I remember doing the Keys to the Kingdom, and I was super stoked, and he definitely met every expectation I think we ever had of him, really any other team. And hopefully he has a great rest of his life with whatever he does. Interesting game at Wrigley Field yesterday.
Well, it was fun with the record books because Rich Hill was on the mound for the Kansas City Royals, the oldest player this year to play in Major League Baseball at 45 years old, and the oldest player ever for the Kansas City Royals. And Hill was signed in the offseason and assigned to the Omaha Storm Chasers at AAA. He's been this team that he's playing for right now, the Royals. This is his 14th Major League Baseball team, and that ties a record. And that's probably the way it's going to end. But having said all that, takes the mound at Wrigley Field in Chicago. They're about 40,000. The Cubs are really drawing well this year, as you would expect. They're a contender. Anyway, Hill didn't pitch badly at all. He went to 5 innings, gave up 1 run and 6 hits, and struck out 5. And gosh, for a 45-year-older against a power-hitting team like the Cubs, that's pretty good. Now, the Royals did not win. We'll talk more about that later on in our broadcast. But the fact is that Hill did not pitch badly and may be with the Royals for the rest of the year.
Didn't pitch badly. It would have been really cool if on that night he could have got that win. And the Cardinals really needed to get nothing but wins while they were in the Rockies. They did not do that, though.
They did not. Lost last night 8-4, and this is very disappointing because this is a game that the Cardinals could have won, probably should have won. Mike, it's hard to describe the audience, especially those who are not really into baseball as such, but the Rockies folks are not a very good baseball team. They've played over 100 games and won 25 of them. 25 of over 100. Come on. That's not even double-A numbers that you put in the calculus and so forth and so on. Didn't happen last night. Colorado beats the St. Louis Cardinals, and Ned Reynolds is not a sensitive individual as such, but I do have to feel a little bit sorry for Eric Fetty. He's the pitcher, and this may have been his last chance with the Cardinals. He hasn't done well this year. They put him out last night against the Colorado Rockies, and he gives up 6 runs on 7 hits in 3 innings, and really that's the ball game, 8-4. That may have been it. The Cardinals might do like designated for reassignment or something like that. It's not that he's not trying, he just simply doesn't have it. Anyway, Rockies win 8-4. The teams play again this afternoon. It's imperative that the Cardinals win this one. It really is. They've got to. And just to maintain any poise, because they're facing the San Diego Padres in St. Louis this weekend. Anyway, 8-4 win for the Rockies, and the Cardinals are 8 1/2 games out of first place behind both the Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers.
It sucks when you get to this part of the season where you are in a must-win situation. Royals, again, had a very middle-aged pitcher yesterday. We talked about that, and like I said, it would have been nice if they could have got the dub with him starting.
Would have been, and certainly within the realm of possibility. The Cubs win the game 6-0, but it wasn't Rich Hill's fault. 45-year-old Hill went out there and held the Cubs to only 1 run on 6 hits, but it's the relief corps that gave it away. Relief corps that did the damage for the Royals, and Jonathan Bolin got lit up. And it really cost them, and the final score was 6-0 Cubs win. The Cubs had Matthew Boyd on the hill. Boyd is kind of a modern-day Rich Hill. He's 34 years old, has not had great success in the major leagues, but he is this year with the Cubs. Big lefty. Throws another crisp game, 7 innings of 7 strikeout baseball, and he being the starting pitcher, is now 11-3 on the year, and that's pretty good. Matthew Boyd, he's a big story in baseball, was on the All-Star team, distantly related to the great Hall of Famer Bobby Feller, somewhere along the line, but it's a distant relationship. Nonetheless, Cubs win 6-0. The Royals are now still struggling along, 11.5 games back, and the Cubs are back in a tie for first place in the National League Central. Springfield Cardinals opened up a series with the Tulsa Drillers. Tulsa wins 2-1, but hey, the Cardinals are in the playoffs, and that's what counts.
Now that we got all the NFL teams back to training camp, that means the college boys are also starting to work towards the beginning of their season when we're looking at D1 starts.
They open up the drills, especially for the teams who are starting early in late July, and they go through the first couple of weeks. The opening games, folks, we talk about the TV opening games, so forth and so on, in the big season will start the latter part of August, and that's when the Bears, for instance, are out in California to open up against Southern Cal, and that will be on August 30th. But the first official games are the week before, August the 23rd. There aren't very many teams playing. Your guys are. Kansas State, they play against Iowa State, and that's interesting because that's a Big 12 conference game. And it's the first game of the season. Well, that doesn't happen very often. Obviously, that'll be on TV. Iowa State, K-State, Fresno State plays at Kansas. And in Conference USA, one of the top teams in the Bears' new league, Sam Houston, will play another of the contenders, Western Kentucky. That's all on August the 23rd, and that's when the college season does get underway. Also, the last day for the exhibitions in the NFL.
And also the beginning of tailgating season. Have a good day, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow.